I'm Brad Rodriguez from Fix This Build That, and today I'm going to show you how to make a cool little ice cream scoop on the lathe. It's a great beginner wood turning project, and if you like ice cream like I do, you're going to love it. Let's see how we did it. This is day 2 of my 6 days of beginner wood turning video series. I'm watching a new video each day of a turning project any beginner can make. This was my first time making most of these projects, so you'll see some mistakes I made and things that I learned. I'll have a link in the description to the playlist for all 6 videos so you can check out the whole series. Now let's get turning. Since this is day 2 of my beginner wood turning series, I'm going to skip over some of the things that I covered in day 1 and talk more about the new aspects of this project. So if you missed day 1, you might want to head over there and check it out first. I'm using red heart for this project, which is a great wood for turning. It's nice and dense with a closed grain, which makes it really easy to turn. I started by roughing the blank out to prepare it for the chuck like I did yesterday. This is the ice cream scoop hardware I'll be using. It has a 3/8 of an inch threaded shaft, so I needed to drill and tap a hole and use a mandrel for turning it. I put the blank in the chuck to prep for drilling, and I still didn't get the tenon right this time either, by the way. Here's one tip I found out while drilling this blank. I was running the lathe a little slower this time, and you can see here how the blank starts to move and it actually starts to stall. I quickly realized it really needs a little more speed to perform well. So if you're having some stalls and having trouble drilling, then go ahead and speed it up a little bit and see if that helps. The ice cream scoop comes with a ferrule that fits over the end of the handle. Now the tenon needs to fit inside the ferrule, so I laid out the length of the tenon, using the ferrule for reference and marking it on the blank. Then I measured inside of the ferrule so I can get the diameter that I need for the tenon. After that, it's just turning down to the diameter that you need. I transferred the measurement to a pair of turning calipers and I removed the material with a square carbide tool until the fit was right. And just go slow here because it's really easy to overshoot if you get carried away. I test fit the ferrule and kept going till I got it just right. Next I moved to the shaping of the blank. I mounted the blank on the 3/8 of an inch tapping mandrel set in my drill chuck. The mandrel will hold the blank in place, and it also taps the threads for the ice cream scoop. I started turning the blank with my square carbide tool. And this blank of red heart was wax sealed, so it's still pretty wet from a moisture content level. You'll see how nice the chips are flying off, and there's very little chatter here. If you turn something that's bone dry, it's much harder and it's going to chip out and really create a lot of dust. After taking off the majority of the waste, I switched over to the round cutter for a small sweep on the end and some finishing cuts. I reset the calipers to the outer diameter of the ferrule, and I turned the base of the tenon to the same size for a seamless fit right into that ferrule. I decided to add a few accents to the handle and to add some detail to this clean look. One thing that I love about turning is just how easy it is to add details and embellishments, and you can really make any design to your heart's desire. I came back to the end of the handle and I removed all the excess of the stock with a parting tool. I just left a little bit to allow the live center to stay in place and support the piece during finishing. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Now here's a sneak peek of day 3's project. I used black palm, which is technically a grass, not a wood type. And let's just say it was a challenge. Make sure you check the description or the end of the video for a link to the 6 days of beginner wood turning playlist, and you can see what happened. I went through a similar sanding progression as I did in day 1, going from 150 grit all the way up to 600 grit. Then I added my first coat of wood turner's finish. I sanded with the micro mesh pads in between the coats, and I added 5 coats in total. After I'd applied the final coat of finish, I sawed off the little nubbin left at the end of the handle. I cleaned up the base using a chisel and some sandpaper until I got a nice smooth finish which you couldn't tell it was even there. Then I applied the finish to the base. Now looking back, it could have saved me some time by just doing all the sanding, then cutting it free, and applying the finish to the whole handle at once, because it doesn't really need tailstock support when you're finishing. I took the handle off the mandrel and fit it into the ferrule and then screwed on the ice cream scoop. The scoop threads are actually much longer than the mandrel, so I basically had to tap the hole with the scoop threads because the threading tap didn't do it. Now it was a little bit slow going, but I added a little paste wax and it seemed to help. With the scoop installed, this red heart just looks amazing. The red is so brilliant, and I've heard it's going to fade with time, but man does it look great now. I want to give a big thank you to Jet Woodworking for sponsoring today's video. You can check a link down below in the description and find all about the Jet 1221 variable speed lathe that I used today. Well, that's a wrap on day 2. I'm going to have another episode tomorrow. You can check the playlist right here. I'm going to have all the episodes in my 6 days of beginner wood turning projects. If you're not subscribed already to the channel, I'd love to have you as part of the team. And until next time, guys, get out there and build something awesome.